Hello and welcome back to the channel where flavor knows no borders. This is Food Around Me.
In this video, we dive into 10 Italian foods that completely shock Americans, from the terrifying live maggot cheese Casu Marzu, to the iconic black squid ink pasta, and even the mushy but lucky New Year sausage. Would you dare to try these shocking dishes? In Italy, there's a pasta dish that makes many tourists hesitate before taking the first bite: spaghetti al nero di sepia, pasta cooked with squid ink. Golden strands of spaghetti are cloaked in an inky black sauce, shimmering like liquid obsidian. The taste is briny, deeply umami, with a silky touch of olive oil, the Italians nod approvingly, calling it the height of elegance. But for many Americans, a jet black plate of pasta often looks like spilled printer ink. They worrying, will my tongue turn black? Will I look like I just ate a bag of Halloween candy? Yet, beyond the shock factor, this dish carries symbolism. In Italy, eating squid ink pasta means embracing beauty in the unusual. Black isn't always sinister. Sometimes it's the color of sophistication. And here's the cultural twist. Americans love their pasta bright red with tomato sauce. Safe, familiar, reassuring. Italians, on the other hand, boldly plunge their spaghetti into deep black ink, almost as if to say, cuisine, too, can be art in opposition. In Florence, the city of art and romance, there's a street food that locals proudly line up for: lampredotto, slow-braised beef tripe. The stomach is simmered for hours in a broth infused with Italian herbs, then tucked into a crusty bun, finished with a bright green salsa of parsley, garlic, and olive oil. One bite and it melts on the tongue, blending with the crunch of bread. Florentines call it the soul of the city. But for many Americans, eating stomach instantly hits gross level 100. Just hearing the word tripe makes them grimace, imagining surgery rather than supper. Here's the twist. Italians celebrate lampredotto as humble tradition, while Americans, home of hot dogs and burgers, recoil. Same sandwich format, but worlds apart. Tender braised tripe versus factory sausage. Maybe what feels disgusting isn't on the plate, but only in the mind. On the island of Sardinia, Italy, where crystal waters meet ancient cliffs, there exists a cheese that shocks the world: Casu Marzu, literally, rotten cheese. Yes, this is sheep's milk cheese taken beyond fermentation, until cheese flies settle in and lay their eggs. Days later, the block is crawling with live maggots. And here's the twist: it's these maggots that break down the cheese, making it soft, creamy, almost liquid. Locals swear that only then does the cheese taste truly sweet. Take a bite of Casu Marzu and you'll taste rich sheep's milk, but also a chilling reminder: you are eating it alive. Tradition dictates that the maggots must still be moving. If they're dead, the cheese is spoiled. In other words, what horrifies outsiders is exactly what guarantees authenticity. Officially, the European Union has banned Casu Marzu for health reasons. Yet on Sardinia, it thrives underground, passed around like contraband, a proud symbol of rebellion against sterile food rules. For Americans, raised on neat slices of cheddar or stretchy mozzarella, Casu Marzu is nightmare fuel. But for Sardinians, it's heritage, proof that food is not just flavor but courage, the courage to cross the line between instinct and disgust. What Americans see as waste, Sardinians embrace as treasure. The line between gross and gourmet is nothing but perspective. In Rome, the heart of the ancient empire, there's a dish that makes many Americans uneasy: trippa alla romana, Roman-style beef tripe. Italy is celebrated for pasta, pizza, and fine wines. But few expect Italians to love offal as much as, say, the Vietnamese. Here, beef tripe is meticulously cleaned, then slow-cooked in a rich tomato sauce, finished with fresh mint and a sprinkle of pecorino cheese. The result: creamy, tangy, and refreshingly aromatic, comfort food with Roman elegance. But for Americans, eating organs, heart, liver, lungs, intestines, is often labeled trash food. What they throw away is what many cultures, from Asia to Europe, treasure as delicacies. While Americans dismiss offal as gross, their own ancestors once depended on it to survive. In Rome, Trippa alla Romana proudly proves that gourmet cuisine doesn't always come from prime cuts, sometimes it comes from what others discard. In Sicily, that sun-drenched jewel of the Mediterranean, breakfast comes in a form most Americans find baffling: granita con brioche. Shaved ice, sweet like a dessert, served as the main dish of the morning. Granita is an ultra-fine, refreshing shaved ice, flavored with fruit juice, coffee, or almonds. Sicilians pair it with a golden, buttery brioche roll, soft, warm, and fragrant. One side chills your tongue, the other soothes it. Dip the brioche into the granita, and it melts together in a sensation that feels like summer and winter colliding in your mouth. But for Americans, breakfast means eggs, bacon, pancakes, or cereal. Shaved ice, to them, belongs at the beach or in the hands of children. So when they see Sicilians starting their day with frozen dessert and cake, many tourists protest. This isn't breakfast, it's dessert. Yet in Sicily, granita con brioche is more than food, it's culture. It belongs to the scorching Mediterranean summer, to tiny corner cafes, to a lifestyle where mornings are not rushed but savored. Here, breakfast isn't about fueling the body for the day, it's about delighting the soul at dawn. And the twist: for Americans, breakfast is fuel; for Sicilians, breakfast is pleasure. One side eats to run, the other eats to live. Sometimes, a simple granita with brioche reminds us that the sweetness of the morning isn't measured in calories, but in the joy of the moment. In Italy, when New Year's Eve approaches, families prepare a dish that looks humble, but carries enormous meaning: cotechino con lenticchie, sausage stew with lentils. Italians believe that eating it at midnight brings wealth and luck, since lentils resemble little coins. Cotechino is no ordinary sausage. It's a heavy-duty Italian creation made of pork, fat, and rind, tightly packed into a casing and simmered for hours until it turns tender and rich. When sliced, it reveals thick, melt-in-your-mouth rounds infused with spices like nutmeg, cinnamon, and black pepper. Paired with creamy, hearty lentils, the dish is both comforting and a little weighty for a festive night. But for Americans, holidays mean roast turkey, glazed ham, or something grand. Soft sausage with beans sounds more like a cafeteria meal with extra steps. Some tourists even laugh, saying, "This is New Year's Eve dinner, really?" Yet that's the charm. Cotechino con lenticchie isn't just food, it's a ritual. Families eat it while counting down, believing each bite draws prosperity closer. Italians don't need a lavish feast, just sausage and lentils, because they know true abundance isn't measured by extravagance, but by tradition and shared belief. If you think pasta is only about tomato sauce, creamy Alfredo, or pesto, then you've never tried pasta con l'essart, a truly Sicilian specialty. And trust me, for Americans, it's a mind-bending combo: sardines, fennel, and sweet raisins. Sounds odd. Sardines bring a salty richness, fennel adds a sharp aroma, and raisins bring unexpected sweetness. Yet together, they create a bizarre but beautiful symphony, salty, sweet, fragrant, buttery, like eating seafood and dessert in one bite. Sicilians even top it with golden fried breadcrumbs for crunch, and pine nuts for balance. For Italians, it's more than food. It's a taste of the sea. Sicily, that island in the Mediterranean, has lived with sardines for centuries. And only here would people dare to marry fish with dried fruit, turning contradiction into harmony. But for Americans, the first bite often brings confusion. Wait, is this pasta sweet, with fish, accustomed to meatballs, Alfredo, or bolognese? Facing pasta that tastes like fish and raisins is nothing short of a culinary culture shock. And that's the magic. Pasta con le sarde forces you to challenge assumptions. That food must be logical, that sweetness belongs only in desserts, and fish must stay savory. Sicilians prove that cuisine has no fixed borders. It's risk, creativity, and tradition blended on a plate. So if someone asks, why pasta with sardines and raisins? Italians simply smile. Because we are Sicily, we turn confusion into memory. In Venice, there's a dish that sounds simple but carries centuries of tradition. Fegato alla veneziana, calf's liver sautéed with caramelized onions. Liver, a word that makes many Americans cringe, thanks to its strong, slightly bitter taste and the whole organ meat stigma. But in Venice, liver becomes the star. Thinly sliced, quickly sautéed with sweet caramelized onions, enriched with white wine and butter, it transforms into something rich, tender, and unforgettable. For Americans, just hearing the word liver is enough to turn them away. One side's warm memory is another side's nightmare. That's how thin the line between delicacy and disgust can be. In Italy, wine isn't just for drinking. They pour an entire bottle of Barolo, a luxury red wine, straight into the pan, turning rice into art. Risotto al Barolo. Slow-cooked rice absorbs the deep flavors of the wine, enriched with butter, cheese, and broth. Every spoonful is a symphony. For Italians, it's elevating wine into something you can eat, not just sip. But for Americans, the idea of cooking rice with a $1,000 bottle of wine sounds absurd. Most would just say, why not just drink it? Once again, culture decides whether it's brilliance or madness. If there's one mushroom that makes the world both fascinated and confused, it's the tartufo nero, the black truffle. Italians call it the black diamond of cuisine, because sometimes it's literally worth more than gold. A single kilo can cost thousands of dollars, and for many Americans, that's simply insane. Seriously, a mushroom worth a car. But the secret of its allure isn't the look, because honestly, it just resembles a lumpy potato. It's the pungent, earthy, almost sexy aroma that drives food lovers wild. Just a few shavings on pasta or risotto, and suddenly the dish transforms into pure luxury. In Italy, truffle season is a cultural event. People hold truffle hunting festivals, using specially trained dogs to sniff them out underground. Behind every slice of truffle on a plate lies a story of mystery, effort, and romance. Americans, however, struggle to get it. They're used to champignons or portobellos for a few dollars. So when they hear about paying hundreds for paper-thin shavings, they joke, it's like eating perfume. But here's the twist. Science shows truffles contain compounds that trigger dopamine, mimicking pheromones and giving a mild high. In other words, truffles are not just food, they're an aphrodisiac. From ancient Rome to modern Michelin-starred tables, truffles have always been tied to love, lust, and luxury. And that's why Americans feel both curious and uneasy. Eating pasta with truffle in Italy isn't just a meal, it's paying for that sexy, earthy, forbidden experience. The irony is, most truffle products in the US contain zero real truffle. That truffle oil aroma, it's just 24-dithiapentane, a synthetic chemical. So often, what people call luxury is nothing more than an illusion in a cheap ball.